Random thoughts. In this video, I'm going to talk about how the beliefs or biases of the British, we can say, established ethnicity and tribal, we can say, superiority, whatever, among the Africans on the land. And this comes from the book I'm reading now, which is the East Africa Protectorate. This is a book that is written by one Sir Charles Eliot. The book was published in 1905, and Sir Charles Eliot, or Sir Charles Norton Eliot, was appointed to be the Commissioner of British East Africa between 1902 and 1904. So he wrote this book. This book was published, you can say, maybe a year after he resigned. Actually, it does say that he resigned from that position because there was some issues that emerged about donations to some organizations. Now, in this book, he gives very detailed description and partly history of the country that came to be known as Kenya. By then, it used to be called the East Africa Protectorate. And I found some parts to be very interesting, especially when it comes to how the British will assign how people looked with intelligence. It was simply, if you looked more European, you were considered to be more intelligent than those who didn't look more like European. And this is the same thing I saw in the book by one John Boyes, the king of the Wakikuyu. And in that book, he does explain, or he often makes these this statement, or he left these statements in this book where whenever he met someone and he saw them that they had European features, he would describe them as very intelligent. Very intelligent. I think I saw that like 2 or 3 places in the book where I would make those statements that, oh, this guy looked like very European and was very intelligent. So to him, looking European in your features, your nose, it automatically qualified you to be considered to be very intelligent. And seems like Sir Charles Eliot makes the same. I'm not going to be like he makes it very many times, but I came across a section in the book, and I'm very early on in the book, so there's a lot to still go through. And there's where he talks about the Somali people. And there's a way he describes them that comes across as if he's trying to say that they were more intelligent than the rest because of how they looked or how they look. And he, in fact, says that some of them look like Apollo, the statue of Apollo, but dark or black. Let me read part of what he says about that. He says that the whole district is inhabited by those singular nomads of Somalia who combine the most opposite characteristics and contrive to be at the same time the wildest and most civilized of Africans. And he goes on to say, in the rest they are what, for want of a better word, must be described as Hamitic, and though dark, are sharply distinguished from all Negro tribes by their clear out and often beautiful features. Some of the young men of the Biscaya section, whom I have seen near Lamu, might have posed as very Apollos cast in dark bronze. So that's what he says about them. But then he goes ahead to describe the contradiction that he mentions early on about them being very civilized in the urban centers and dressing nicely. But then when they leave the towns, they become very uncivilized, and they say they are very quarrelsome. But overall, he describes them as to be, we can say, more intelligent than the rest. But you can see that perception of them being more intelligent than the rest of the Africans, or Negroes as he calls them, comes from the features. It did not come from how they behaved or acted. It all came down to that they looked more European. And the way he says that some of them looked like they could be taken or can fit the statue of Apollo, but just that they are dark-skinned. So yeah, so looking at how these documents, it's very interesting to read some of these documents, especially documents that were written in late 19th century, early 20th century, and to see the perception of especially the European regarding the local people. It's very interesting to see that for them, how you looked defined your intelligence, or how you looked kind of like was assumed to say a lot about how intelligent you were or not. Those are my random thoughts.